If you're anything like me, feeding your family on a daily basis is a bit of a stressful ordeal. And yet, there is no way around it. We all have to eat. In fact, those of us with ADHD should probably pay even a little bit more attention to what we consume on a daily basis than our neurotypical counterparts. But alas, eating and meal planning can be quite the struggle for those of us with ADHD, myself and many of my clients included. And this is precisely why on today's episode of the ADHD Mompreneur, we are going to discuss why it's so difficult for those of us with ADHD to plan our meals, why it's important that we actually make ourselves do it, and some tips to make the meal planning and meal prepping process a little bit easier. But before we dive into today's delicious episode, in case you're new here, I'm Christy Lingo, the ADHD Mompreneur. I'm a swim mom and a soccer mom running an ADHD coaching business and running my kids here, there, and everywhere while trying to remember to stuff some protein in my face at least a couple of times a day. I started the ADHD Mompreneur to fill a gap that I found in the coaching world. The overlap of ADHD mom and ADHD business owner. Because I think that us ADHD mom business owners face some unique challenges that many of the neurotypical business coaching programs that I have been in don't necessarily address or understand. To learn more about how I could support you in growing your successful business while managing your family, be sure to visit theadhdmompreneur.com. Okay, so we all have to eat, right? And many of us with ADHD struggle to feed ourselves. Then when you add kids and work and activity schedules into the mix, eating can almost start to feel a bit overwhelming. And when we feel overwhelmed, we have a tendency to head for the quickest and easiest solution, which might not be exactly what we need to help nourish our ADHD brains and executive function. So why is it figuring out what to eat or what to buy at the grocery store is so difficult for those of us with ADHD? Well, as with many of the things that those of us with ADHD struggle with, it most likely has something to do with executive function. Decision fatigue can creep in when we're trying to decide what we want to make or what we want to buy. Initiating the task of going to the grocery store or making a meal, especially at the end of the day when our dopamine reserves are completely depleted, can feel almost impossible. We need organization skills to keep track of what we already have on hand and what we need, and time management skills to figure out which meals we're going to make on which nights based on the availability of ourselves and our family. Then there's trying to keep our impulses at bay when there are just so many choices at the grocery store. It makes complete sense to think that going through a drive-thru or ordering takeout is just a much easier solution. But as I mentioned in the introduction, there are several reasons why those of us with ADHD need to pay close attention to what we are consuming in order to support our ADHD brains and executive function. We need to make sure that we're consuming enough protein because the amino acids in protein are directly linked to the creation of neurotransmitters like dopamine, which helps with our executive function, and serotonin, which helps with our mood regulation. Protein also helps to prevent or reduce blood sugar spikes, which can lead us to feeling hyperactive or impulsive. We also need to make sure that we are getting plenty of complex carbohydrates in order to regulate our blood sugar and prevent those spikes. And complex carbohydrates are going to help us create glucose, which is the brain's preferred energy source. We also want to make sure that we are getting some omega-3s from things like cold water fish or walnuts or yogurts and eggs that are fortified with omega-3s. Making sure we get plenty of omega-3s means that we keep our serotonin production up to help boost our mood, and our dopamine receptors stay in tip-top shape so that our dopamine levels don't decrease. Not to mention, omega-3s have been shown in studies to ease hyperactivity, improve working memory, and improve your sleep quality. It's also important for us to monitor our sugar and simple carb intake because those can lead to dopamine spikes and subsequent crashes, which, along with not making us feel real great, can lead to having issues with motivation and task initiation. So, how can we make meal planning easier for our overworked, underpaid ADHD brains? Let's wrap up today with 5 tips that you can use to help feed your family and your ADHD brain what it needs to thrive. Number 1, keep it simple. You don't need to fix Martha Stewart-style dinners every evening, or at all if cooking isn't your jam. The most important thing is that the nutritional needs of your family are being met. My sister, who doesn't have ADHD but does have 5 kids, literally feeds the same thing the same nights every week. Monday is burgers, tacos on Tuesday, and so on and so forth. Pick simple dishes. Choose theme days like Meatless Mondays or Pizza Fridays. Try meal kits like HelloFresh or frozen meals from Costco or the grocery store to help streamline your cooking process. Number 2, create a favorites list. Because decision-making is an executive function, it stands to reason that deciding what to buy from the grocery store or what meals we want to make for that week might be a little bit difficult for those of us with ADHD. But making your grocery list or deciding what you're going to eat this week can be a lot easier if you already have a list of family favorites. Favorite quick dinner options, favorite dinners for nights when you have a little bit more time, favorite high-protein snacks, favorite grab-and-go breakfasts. Trust me when I tell you, it will be much easier for you to choose what you're going to buy or what you're going to make from a list of your family's favorites than trying to search through all the blogs and all the pins of all the recipes on all the internet. Number 3, work with your calendar. Having a list of your family's favorite quick meals can really come in handy if your ADHD mom life is anything like my ADHD mom life. I realized pretty early on that the nights when I'm running one kid to soccer and the other kid to swim lent themselves better to certain meals as opposed to others. So to make it easier for you to both prep and eat on those busy nights, be sure to take a look at the calendar so you can gauge how much time you'll actually have to prepare a meal and who might be around to eat it. Something like a crock-pot dish that can be on the counter ready to go when people are ready to eat, or a simple sandwich and chips that people can make and eat on their own schedule. Number 4, share the work. Deciding what to eat, going to the grocery store, and prepping every meal is not something that has to fall all on your shoulders. Having your family pitch in to help with meal planning or meal prepping can go a long way in helping to alleviate a bit of the stress and strain on your overworked ADHD brain. Instead of you picking all the recipes, have each family member pick a recipe for a different night of the week. Have your spouse or a driving teenager pick up your grocery order at a local grocery store. Involve your kids in age-appropriate meal prep, like gathering ingredients from the pantry or helping you to chop up vegetables. Even better, take turns making meals so that mom can get a day or night off from the kitchen. And number 5, make ADHD investments. The term ADHD tax typically refers to money you pay out because of your ADHD. Think paying late fees because you haven't paid your bill on time, or paying more money for airplane tickets for your vacation because you kept forgetting to buy them and the price went up. But there are times when paying a little bit more can actually help to alleviate some of the stress and the anxiety you have with ADHD. And I like to call these things ADHD investments. If it's easier for you to eat healthier options like fruits and veggies by buying the ones that are already cut up at the grocery store, invest in pre-cut fruit and vegetables. Invest in a salad kit with all the ingredients you need for a tasty salad, along with a rotisserie chicken from your deli for a quick, easy, and pretty much no prep healthy dinner. Invest in grocery delivery to help you save time or the overwhelm of going to the grocery store. If investing makes your meal planning and meal prep feel easier and your ADHD mom life less stressful, I would say that that's a pretty good return on investment. I'm curious if there are any meal planning tips that you use that I may have missed. Comment below and let me know how you make sure that your family is fed, or leave me a voicemail message at the link in the show description. And don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes like next week, which is the last episode before I take a little summer break. We'll be discussing using body doubling to help you get things done, which could be particularly helpful as we get deeper into the fun of summer. Until next week, keep making your ADHD journey part of your success story. If you're a business-owning mom with ADHD, you're going to need to grab my free, customizable essential checklists for ADHD mompreneurs by visiting bit.ly/checklists for ADHD mompreneurs, or by following the link in the episode description. Do it now, before you forget. Until next time.